EHAS CLUB presents Stories to Create podcast, where the tale of our guest takes you back, way back to where the story first got created. Now, to help create this new story, here is your host, Cornell Bunting.
Yes. Welcome to another episode of Stories to Create podcast right here at EHAS CLUB. I'm your host, Cornell Bunting. I gotta tell you guys, I am excited today because I have a wonderful entrepreneur in the building today that is making some major moves, not just in the corporate world, but in her own space as well, doing it big, helping individuals identify who they are and seeing their full potential. So without saying more, without further ado, help me welcome Miss Monika Jackson.
Thank you.
How are you, love?
I'm good.
Oh,
I'm excited to be here. You already know. It's a long time coming.
It is a long time coming. I gotta tell you, we've been trying to get you, but you're so busy. You're a busy woman.
I am. I'm always on the go, traveling.
Listen, people, she is more busy than I am, and you guys know I'm busy.
I don't know. Busy ain't always good. I'm trying to level it down a little bit. Less is more in my eyes now.
I like that. So we're gonna treat you guys today, because we're gonna have this lovely lady take us back to the early years when the story first got created. We diving into her world today. So, but before we do that, because she put me onto this joint right here, and so I'm gonna let you guys hear just a little piece of it.
Shout out to Ed.
Shout out to Ed.
Yeah.
Know that stuff you went through just set you up for winning. You ain't know. Oh, you ain't know that you was chosen. You ain't know that you was golden. You ain't know you was important, huh? Oh, you ain't know you had a purpose much bigger than anything you ever consider. Oh, you ain't know. Well, I'ma be your mirror. Look, you have something to offer. You are not your mistakes. You wanna share your thoughts, but think nobody relates. Low ball in your work, and that's the irony, isn't it? When a life is significance, but don't think it's significant. You gotta shift your thinking, get in line with your infinite. Release all the negative beliefs that you dealing with. I know you can hear me.
Ooh, stop it. You guys gotta go check out that joint by, was it Brian, as he say? Hippolyte. Brian Hippolyte. Dropping some bars there. He's dropping some bars, and it's a beautiful thing because I don't think enough people look in the mirror every day and just encourage themselves, like before they step out the door.
Yeah.
Like before you go out today, look in the mirror and just encourage yourself.
Yeah, it's a necessity. It is the thing that we have to speak life into ourselves before we're even able to accept anyone else speaking life into us. It's good to be able to hear people encourage us and help us along the way, but if we don't have any self-belief that we can, then it all is in vain.
I gotta tell you, you're right on that. I think a lot of people don't necessarily, I think people look at themselves a certain way and they be like, I don't think the mass is gonna accept me, I'm not that person, and then they just kind of
dummy themselves down and dim the light. I've been there. I know what that looks like. I do. I know, because you don't want to be ostracized or feeling like you're different, or you don't want to be seen like who she thinks she is. But I've outgrown that mentality. I'm supposed to think I'm all that, and you are too, right?
Yes.
And oftentimes we just we move based upon what we believe is socially acceptable instead of moving knowing that we have been all gifted with a purpose and gifts that are supposed to be executed in this world for the benefit of others. Our gifts are not for us. They are for the world. And when we hold them in and we hold them hostage, they fight with us, and we're in contention with life because our gifts want to explode while we're sitting by the wayside trying to figure out how to cultivate a life that's socially acceptable, and then we wonder, why is life killing me?
Oh my goodness, bars. We're going to have her drop the mic for a minute right there, because, listen, we want to go back with you. We want you to take the listeners back. Take us back to the early years. Where were you born, grew up?
So I was born in Takoma Park, Maryland.
Okay.
I lived from Maryland to DC, so the DMV, shout out to the DMV. PG County, baby.
DG?
Oh, yeah, PG.
PG, okay,
yeah, Prince George's.
okay.
And then I moved from there a little to New Jersey, and then I lived in Jersey most of my life. So, some might say I'm a Jersey Shore girl. Then I moved from, so I've been in South Jersey, Central Jersey, so that Freehold, the Lakewood, Howell area. And then I moved from there, got married, moved to Jersey City, Bayonne.
Hold on. We don't want to get there yet. So, while moving around, the way you were moving around, what was school like? What was the school like?
Jesus, I hated school. And let me tell you something. My mother is an educator, and I love her to death. She is who I aspire. Her character, her integrity. I just aspire to be like her in a sense. I say I share her, but I don't share her with certain people because some people don't understand the value of what she brings to their life. So anyway, school was a bit tough for me. Like I said, having gifts and not understanding the gifting that's over your life can cause you to not know how to interact and engage with people or how to fit in. So some context around that. Living in Howell, New Jersey, I was like 2 out of Black kids in the entire district, and I was one of them.
Okay.
And
so you were the center of attention.
Yeah, but back in that time, I think we were still dealing with a lot of cultural racism and things like that. They called my mom in kindergarten and told my mother, because the little girl got hurt, I tried to go over and hug her, console her, because I was raised to be very loving and endearing and to embrace and have empathy with people. They called my mom and told my mom that she needed to talk to me because I can't go around. People don't want me touching their children. What? Right? And so, and then I didn't want to get kicked out of, camps because they're playing dodgeball. I don't want no balls coming at my face. I was that kid, okay? But the funny thing is, too, that I was in a culture, if you think about that culture, they praise education and knowledge. And so to be smart was to be rewarded. Okay. Right? Okay, and then I moved from Howell to Lakewood. And then when I got into Lakewood, it was, I am one of thousands of Black kids, right? Children of color, right? And so the culture was completely different. And some significant, I used to get into people wanted to fight me. I didn't even know why. They were just pretty. It was I'm trying to tell you, it went from she's like the little monkey girl to being like, who do you think you are? You messing with my, and it's like, who's your man? I don't even know. I'm a little girl. I don't even know what these things. I was sheltered, okay? I didn't go to places that a lot of the kids went. So, and I didn't relate. And my mother, being in the church, PK kid, very Christian type family, I didn't get to watch Martin and all that stuff. So as people are talking about it, I didn't really fit in because I couldn't. You didn't know what to say. Yeah, I did not resonate with their lifestyle and their culture, but I didn't want to seem like I was all that. So it kind of went from, being in a culture where I was very smart, I wanted, being on the honor roll was something that was rewarded, to then coming into this Black community whereby I didn't want to go to school, and I used to cry to my mom like, I don't want to go to school, and I hate it here. And she would say, fight smart. I'm like, what do you mean fight smart? You can't do that with these type of people. Fighting smart, because she would say, you have to be able to have self-control. Think about your movement and the ways. Like, there are other ways to be able to strategically get yourself out of these situations. I'm like, at that time, I didn't know how to say, when you dealing with, and you got to either show up or they're going to eat you. So
they're going to put a whooping at you.
Yeah, so I ended up, I think there was a point where I just kind of transitioned. And, I also remember, them calling my name because I got honor roll, and like the black kids like booing.
Ooh.
And like, it was like, because everybody else who was going up, they were white. Yeah. And it was like expected. We know that Emily's supposed to be going up there. Right. It's like, and so I think just all of the rejection. There was just so much rejection coming from my childhood that I think it forced me to transform. Literally, I transformed, right? And I transformed into something that was so like I was going to be the baddest of the baddest. And so by the time I got into middle school, like I got kicked out of middle. Now here's the funny part. I cried and told them I don't want to fight. Please help me. Somebody help me. Then it was like, well, ain't nobody going to help me, so I need to figure this out. And so now I'm going to transition, and it was like, okay, come get it. You want to come get it? I'm going to fight, and that's it. And so I just started. Then I get kicked out of school. Then they want to put me in an alternative place because they say I'm a danger to the school, to the students, and a danger to myself. Like, and people, when they hear this, they don't believe it. I don't think that I was having an outer body experience at that time, because it became survival of the fittest. And that speaks to so much that we see in society now about how our people show up in the world, that it is not who they are and but it is the conditions of the environments that they feel like they need to transform into something in order for them to survive. And it could be the lowest of the lowest thing, but that's how they survive. Right? So I don't know. I'm gonna give you a little bit.
I got to tell you though, it's kind of sad because here you are reaching for help. No one is coming to help you, and then when you decide, you know what, I got to stand up for myself. Now they come and they're trying to reprimand you. They label backward stuff that is.
They label,
man.
But I think that was supposed to go that way because I'm not like everybody else.
Right.
And some of the things, so long story short, some of the things that I experienced was really to cultivate who I was, because when I went over to the alternative schools, everyone knew that I didn't necessarily belong there. But then they wanted me to stay there, and they asked my mom, like, please let her stay because she is the reason why the other kids will actually do the work.
This is good.
Right?
This is good.
And so I had giftings that were very prominent then that I didn't know I had.
Right.
It was just naturally a part of me. So that was me then showing leadership and kindness and qualities and traits about how I could move masses of people very early on.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and then from there, if people didn't know, I got pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you got pregnant in high school?
I was in high school. I was going into high school, freshman year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was a jock.
Okay.
Basketball player,
You just saw him be like, yep.
No, you know what? I had to let Cornell. I didn't even know. Like we gonna go here. He was my savior at the time.
Okay.
He was a senior. It was like everything that I was going through. Like I hid in his house. Like I ran away. I was running away from home. There was so much that dealing with molestation and all these things, right? Very young, and people putting labels on me. Like people were saying I was having sex. I didn't even know what sex was. Right?
When that was getting put out.
Yes.
Wow.
So it was like I really don't know how to articulate those seasons of my life other than to say it was all a setup. Right. And even to say it was all a dream, right? Because in my mind, who I am now and what I had experienced, like some of it doesn't even correlate anymore. Wow. Right? Like it just, okay. Yeah. These are the things that have happened, but that doesn't define who I am. Right. So yeah.
Wow. So you got to experience the mom journey in the early years. Yeah. Late teens. Yeah.
Well, it was my early teens. I was 15. 15. Ooh. I was 15 when I had my daughter. Well, getting ready to turn 15 when I had my daughter.
So, because now you got the listeners be like, okay, so how many kids does she have? Because she looks so beautiful and she looks so young.
I have 5.
5 kids. Mm-hmm. No one would thought.
1 million adopted.
Yes. No one would thought. Like, because you still have that beautiful look of like late 30s. It's one of them things, and you might tell people,
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I think having children is a beautiful thing. I think definitely. Having them young awarded me some opportunities. And hey, by the time I'm 40, which will be very soon, all of them will be grown.
Yeah. See? So you're like, if I was to put a number on it, maybe 3 years to 40, or 4 years to 40, or 5 years to 40.
I'll be 40 in a couple of months.
Come on.
Yeah.
You 39 right now?
Yes.
People, stop. See what I tell you guys? Hey, you can't make this up. I'm just saying. Wow. Come on. But there was one time when, people of color, they got the bragging rights of like, black don't crack.
I'm just giving you what it is.
We just saying.
All that melanin.
All that melanin. I love that. That's a beautiful thing right there. So, so you had to kind of adjust, with like, this happening, because now you still got a few years to go to complete high school. Now, all this stuff happening. So now you got to adjust. What was that like? Before you answered that, how was mom feeling about all this?
Y'all, my mother is a PKK. Like, my mother is the minister in the house. Like, she's yeah.
Wow.
And
so that didn't go so well with mom.
And everyone looked at her like she's her.
Yeah.
She's her, right? So I didn't. The odd thing is, I didn't even know or I was pregnant. Like, I didn't know. Like, my mom found out when she went to go take me to go shopping to go get a homecoming dress. And she looked at me at the dressing room and she was like, what is going
on? What's happening?
And I just looked at her and she's like, what is going on? Poor mother.
So
I can't even imagine that right now. My 14-year-old kid.
You didn't even know?
That's how naive and like it just is what it is. But and I laugh about it today. It's like you laugh to keep from crying, but it's like poor thing, right? Like but at the same time, it was I think for my mom. I think we talked about this a while ago, but at the end of the day, for her, she was just hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she was hurt for me, but she was there for me, and I was so far along by that time. Like by the time she found out, I was a couple months about to deliver.
Wow.
Like literally, I was right, but I didn't show, and I was very athletic. So
Yeah.
at that point in time, I was running track, I was cheerleading. I had a belly cheerleading, like big squat.
So when you were pregnant, you didn't really have like a huge belly.
Wow. Not till the end. Like I blew up at the end.
Yeah, like 7, 8 months.
Like 8 months. Yeah.
You
It
just
was like
went wild.
yeah. It was.
Wow.
It was, but it was out there then, so it was like okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, and
Wow.
by that time, my daughter's father, he had moved back to New York because he was done with school. He graduated.
Oh.
But we were still like talking. We were still like in an essence, quote unquote, together or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like that situation is different, and I sometimes I just say that don't count.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that don't count.
That don't
Right?
count. Yeah.
It doesn't count, but
Wow.
it is a significant part of my trajectory. But that is also why I can't say I don't know life outside of being a mother, because I started that trajectory very young.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful. So after you have your daughter, like what was going through your head? Like school, work, what?
So I ended up transitioning to like alternative programs. Like I was going to other high schools, and the regular education seems just not for me. Like I knew too much. Like
Right.
my brain worked in completely different ways, and I, you know, like I said, my mom became an educator because of me. She was working in the insurance and banking industry, and there were some transitions going on, and then they called my mom when I was in the white school district to tell her that I couldn't read, but really it wasn't that I couldn't read and that I scored like so low on the test. I just didn't want to take their test.
Wow.
And I could read. So she stopped what she was doing to help. I remember Hooked on Phonics when it first came out, and we were in the basement. She used to just drill me. But that was only enhancing
Right.
what I already knew. And I knew this stuff. So then it became, I couldn't read till I'm reading, like I'm in 6th grade reading at like a 12th grade level and
That's
comprehending
amazing.
it, whatever. So in any event, I think I graduated high school at 16. I mean, they called my mom. This is so weird. Like this stuff, when I think about it, like I was something else.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they called my mom and told my mom, you know, she's not coming to school, and they're like, what? She's like, what? Like, what do you mean she's not coming to school? Because I would go to school one day a week, go to my teachers, collect
Wow.
all my work,
Yeah.
do all my work, take my test, and I'd leave.
Wow.
And that was that. And so my grades didn't show
Wow.
that I wasn't in school.
Wow.
And I hated it. So one day I just came I tested out. That's
You
it.
tested out, and
done.
you did great when you tested out.
Yeah. And then I enrolled. I came in and told my mom I'm in college.
Wow. Wow.
You can't say anything to me. I like at that point in time I had a child already in my
Yeah.
mind. I was like grown in a sense, and
Yeah.
life was just rocking. Like,
Yeah.
and I was doing all kind of stuff like involved with like gang activity, all kinds of stuff. I was something.
You were doing too much.
Yes, but again, remember,
Yeah.
I wasn't who I am.
Right.
Right? I had transformed in order to survive, and that became who I thought I was.
Right.
But that wasn't who I
That
was.
wasn't who you were.
And there has been I've been predestined for something greater, because even when I was in the streets, quote
Yeah.
unquote,
Yeah.
I didn't fit in even then.
Wow.
And God covered me. Like people would see me like, what are you doing? Like it was like, come here. And
Yeah.
you know, and older guys, it just is what it is. Guys
Yeah.
who are older than me has always been like the ones who be like, just come here. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like, you know, we good. But a part of that has to do with I didn't carry myself like the normal street girl.
Right.
I didn't think like the normal street girl. And I think
Yeah.
that's how I got involved with, you know, my other son's father is
Yeah.
because he saw the potential of what he could do with my mind.
Wow, that is amazing. So your second child was from him,
Yes.
and third.
And so I have him and then my husband.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we were engaged to be married, and had just found out that I was pregnant with my son, and the feds came, and that's the story.
Ooh, okay.
And
so that got shut down.
Yeah. And so
wow.
Yeah. So that kind of, I think that was the moment where it was like, either you get your life together, or you gonna be,
you'll have some issues.
Yeah, so you better,
consequences gonna make you uncomfortable.
So you better buckle up and get life right. And then it was like, I went back home to stay with my mom for a little bit, but I could not be under her. I just am a type of individual. I cannot be held down.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to be free. So like caging me is not it.
Right.
And I think that, me being about my father's business, I think that a lot of that has to do with like, I have to pursue what is placed in my spirit. Right.
Yeah.
And so, remember though, while I'm in the street, I'm still going to school. I'm still in college. I'm graduated with degrees. So like I got degrees out the wonker, right?
Yeah.
So and all of that was for a purpose, right? And so
because you didn't put none of that to use yet. Like none of those degrees you didn't put.
No, I was putting it to use in the wrong way.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? And so but it wasn't. It's bare minimum.
Yeah.
It's bare minimum stuff. But I'm seeing stuff.
Right.
I'm seeing stuff go, and it's like that's why I said my ex saw the potential of my mind.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And he took that and cultivated it.
Yeah.
Right. Because he was 12 years older than me.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So at that time I was like 16, 17.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Brilliant young lady. Wow. It's a beautiful thing right there. So when you got into the corporate world, how did you feel about that? Like, did you really want to be there or not really?
I don't ever feel like I'm supposed to work for anybody. I do what I do because we gain access in the corporate world to other things, and so that's just a part of the process. But I've been working since I was 14. My first job was McDonald's, right? So I was there, and a couple months later, they're trying to promote me to like assistant supervisor. I've never been in a position where I've just stayed there long.
Yeah.
But I will say, as far as the corporate world in itself is concerned, I don't know. As far as me and identifying with what I do, my job is to really support people and inspire people. My brain sees what they don't see, and I break it down to help them see for themselves, right? And so as a strategic business strategist, that is my role.
I like that. So in this time, because I'm thinking like Left Eye, Aaliyah, who was the artist that was popping in this time when you had all that stuff going on? By the time you got to your third child, who was the artist that was happening? Like you was like, yeah, that's my jam right there.
My third child, that's Ari. I was married then.
Whitney Houston was killing it, huh?
Actually, a funny thing is, I love Jamie Foxx. I love CeCe Winans.
CeCe Winans, yeah.
Yes, I was. I think then I was going back and transitioning into my soft girl era. Okay. And I think that again, when I met my husband, which was a total fluke, it was like in itself. It was one of my girlfriends. she ended up marrying his cousin. Like, it just was so funny. It was a setup, and I didn't even know. Like, I was walking into a setup situation. Like, it was like, okay. But it was cute. It
was a cute situation.
It was cute.
That's awesome.
And then I got stuck with him for like 13 years or whatever. But
she got stuck with him.
You know, we live and we learn. Him. You know, I'm grateful for the men who have been in my life and for my children's fathers. They all brought a different dynamic out of me.
Right.
I think that from my ex-husband, what he really brought out of me was the understanding of my purpose in myself, right? And he did that unknowingly because of the vicious things that he had done, right? And so that awarded me the pain of that situation. Made me run to God in a way that I had never done before. And it caused like an epiphany, like there was this paradigm shift that, you know, I was good in my marriage and I was okay, and I was still going to church. We were faithful. We would go to church every Sunday, but there was a different dynamic where I had no choice but to lean into God because of how severe my situation was. And so then that's how I ended up getting the scholarship to go to Princeton. And that was like for my master's. And that was so aligned in a way, like, it could not have been anyone but God in that one, right? And so, but that would have never have happened if he hadn't been the way that he was and had done the things that he did. And so, even in that, I'm grateful.
That's beautiful. You know, you take, in the midst of certain challenges, you use those adversities to find purpose. That's beautiful. I like that. Now, at the time, because you know, as a young lady that started parenting at a young age, how was you with your kids? You feel like you were? I
was growing up with them.
Yeah.
And there are ups and downs that come with that.
Yeah.
My style of parenting is not traditional.
Right.
In nature, I did not. My mother's parenting wasn't traditional with me. And I allowed my kids to question, certain things. Now, people will not agree with that type of parenting style. And I will say it comes back on you hard because you now develop these kids who kind of like they don't listen. Like they don't not that I don't even know, but
they need you to make it make sense.
Yeah, like they don't just take people word for it, and that's okay for me because I'm still like that. Right? But if you ask me where all my children are, they're good. Like my sons are men.
Yeah.
And I made sure of that. One thing that I do know is that regardless of how I feel about their father, they need their father.
Yeah.
And even in the moments where I did not have the support in which I'd like to have had it or have it still, his presence needs to be seen so that they are cultivated as men.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And there's the whole argument about black women raising some men. No. Yeah. I just want to add a little excerpt in here for our black women.
Yes.
The idea that we are single parents is a false reality.
Yes, yes.
We are not single parents. We might be parenting as one, right? Like as one person, as the parents in the household. But there are a community of people whom your children engage and interact with, whom you have to lean in and depend on. That is not you as a single parent.
Right.
right?
Right.
That is you learning to co-parent within community.
Mm-hmm.
The danger about the single mother is, especially with young boys, is that they will position their sons in a position to feel as though they have to take care of
Right.
their mom.
Right.
And mothers who do it to their daughters put the daughters in the position of feeling like they have to take on a certain masculinity that is not necessarily so.
Right. Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So I say that, and people will disagree with me, but I say that because that is what continues to perpetuate this masculine energy within women,
Mm-hmm.
and this feminine, overly feminine energy that
Yeah.
comes with a male.
Right.
And when we do an injustice to our children when we leave out the masculine
We're learning
energy.
about the masculine.
Right.
Yeah.
I can go on about that, but I'll digress. And I'll just say
I like that. I feel like there's a lot of individuals, because of how society portrays certain things, people run with that, and then that's kind of just embedded in so many people.
people don't want to admit it, but the majority of the people are followers on it.
I like that. Yeah, this is true. I think that's why the mass of people that society would say have a lot of money, or they have enough money where they can do whatever they want, is a small percentage.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have all these individuals, even when you throw at them the knowledge on certain things. And I don't know if stubbornness has to do with this. It's like it's hard to stick. Like they don't get it.
They've been conditioned.
Mm.
And they're fearful.
Yeah.
And some people don't know how to manage the process
Right.
of letting go.
I like that.
So they say, I need to let go, and they really do want to let go,
Right.
but there's a process of letting go, and the pain in the process causes one to become paranoid, to become panicked,
Yeah.
manic, right?
Yeah.
It causes one to want to separate themselves,
Right.
and they'd rather stay in what is comfortable and what they know,
Right.
and rather than being able to kind of fully move away
Yeah.
and do would be in their best interest.
Right. You might be someone that, actually, I think you'll be someone great to answer this question, because a lot of individuals have put this title on the black culture. And they say, we don't know how to unite. We don't understand what that looked like right now.
We don't. You gonna put me out there? You don't want nobody like me. I don't care if y'all don't.
Hey, listen.
My
Love
purpose
her.
is to speak truth in
She's
love.
speaking their truth. Yes.
So I'm going to be real, and real is the new fake.
Yes.
Okay.
Real is the new fake. I like that. Yes.
Your question was about Black people and unity.
Yes.
This question has been the question for decades, centuries, right?
Yeah.
This question brings me back to George Washington Carver, W.E.B. Du Bois, Malcolm X. I mean, the list goes on about our ability to come together, how to come together as a people, what we need to do to come together as a people, and then our function as a people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're so conditioned that we unknowingly don't know. I just don't want to. I want to be.
No, put it out there. It's okay.
We're so conditioned that we think that we're thinking and doing these great things, and they ain't ish. Okay, we're not doing. We have such low standards for ourselves as a community, and we think that we do have these high, and we don't.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
And our ability to emotionally get beyond ourselves and our selfish thinking prohibits us from being able to connect to another in a way that will allow us to be able to generate wealth. And when I say generate wealth, I'm not just talking financially.
Right.
I'm talking about spiritually, mentally, okay, emotionally. And we will consume, because we are in an age of technology and consumption, we will consume all of this information and pick and choose the things that we believe is for us.
Right.
Instead of ensuring that this is the thing that is necessary for me to elevate to the next level. That's different, right? Because I can pick and choose and say, oh, this is something that I resonate with, yes, but that does not mean that that is going to help me elevate myself to the next level, right? And the other part of that is to say, I don't even think we have a full definition of what unity is.
Right.
I think that we think that unity is everybody agreeing to a specific thing and it having to be this one specific way, and that unity is like perfection.
Right.
No. When we clearly understand that when a people unite, and I'm going to give an example because I can. And I can resonate with these things because I lived it. One thing that I left out of my childhood is that, and I think this is an important piece, because this is the reason why I ran to God, was because no matter what was going on around me in my growing up, there was always an understanding of faith, right? And so, and it wasn't just a Christian perspective, okay? So my mother was a Baptist minister, we Christian, whatever. My father's Sunni Muslim, Islam, you know, like, and these aren't just Muslims who are, what do they call, jailhouse Muslims?
Right.
My family for real Muslims, right? You know, culturally, my godmother is a Hasidic Jew, like that, Bubby, right? Like, I grew up in the synagogue, in the mosque, and in the church. And then I was given the freedom to be able to study the high faith, like all kinds, like I've been in 5% of the Nation of Islam, like, so I've studied religions across the board, right? And I've been cultivated in that. When I say understanding, the full understanding of unity, when I look at cultures like those who are of Jewish descent, what they have done is cultivated a culture of, even with my issues, we have a purpose and a plan. And we're going to, I might not agree with you, but we're going to move in a way that says we are willing to sacrifice now for the greater later. Okay? And the unfortunate thing about us as a people is, and I say this, and I'll put an asterisk over here because I still believe that there are parts of me that have been raised by different cultures that allow me to kind of see things a little bit differently. So when I say this, and I say us, people of color, this does not include people, Latina A, Latina. I'm excluding them, even though they are people of color, but only because there's a certain understanding here. Me and you don't even have the capacity to get our family to come together, to come and be in a communal living space and think that it's okay for us to focus on building you as an individual so that you can do what you need to do to help the collective, like help you get an 800 credit score so that you can go buy a home, so that even though it's in your name, it'll function for the entire community. That means that we'll go work 4 or 5 jobs. We're not seeking to be going out and partying. We'll have our own party in the house, even though the masses of us, while we're together, we may argue. We know how to put the differences aside and bring all the money to the one pot, and then be able to say, okay, now we're going to create a business, and then in that business, and then y'all get mad because y'all are saying, oh, and the politics of it all, they're giving it to all these people, but they're knowing what to do with it. Like there's so many components to this thing. Like we have yet to get past ourselves. And this belief that we are an island to be able to do the things that we need to do in order for us to grow our community. That's unity. That's the ability to be able to unite. So Cornell, if you go and you get all of your family in Jamaica and they come here and y'all have a plan, a strategy, and it says, Cornell has the best opportunity to get his papers. He has the best opportunity to get his credit score, and he has the best opportunity to help leverage this. And we're all going to stick together, and we're going to push Cornell to make it happen. Cornell then makes it happen, and then guess what? The same things that they were doing, they don't stop. They continue to do it, and you bring them on. You bring them in, and nobody is feeling offended and feeling jealous because, oh, look at him. No, because there's an understanding about how we're moving together, and we trust each other enough to know that you're not trying to leave us, that you're bringing us with you because there's a plan, right? We don't get that. We're too busy in our heads, and we want things fast. We want to see our reparations happen yesterday.
It don't work like that. You know, it's crazy you said that, because I was venting today, and someone, because I have people that follow me on social media, and they see certain things, and you know, they get this in their head like, oh yeah, Cornell got money, and so they want to reach out, and they reach out, and they ask for, you know, some help. Sometimes depends on what that help look like. It could happen soon, but sometimes depends on the size of the help that they're trying to get. We got other things going on. We can't just drop what we're doing to help you in this situation. And first of all, you don't even check in on me. When I can send a text and say, hey, how's everything going? And you might text back because, you know, because everyone's busy. But no one check on me. They check on me when they need something. And I'm like, what are we doing out here? Well, come on. You guys don't see me doing this because I don't do this. You know, like, so it's just kind of crazy how a lot of this unfolding. We're in a space right now where people are saying, I don't know, guys, you guys kind of put yourself there, which a lot of people would, they said, we differ. We differ on that.
There's so much to what you just said. I don't even know if I want to unpack it. But what I'll say is that when we lose the expectation that we have to, and I'm saying this lightly because there is a responsibility. When we lose the expectation that we have to show up for people in a certain way, that's when we allow ourselves to be able to allow God to move us when we should move for them. But there is still a responsibility that we have to our community to show up in the way that God wants us to show up. And sometimes it does not make sense, and it doesn't look like the way the person wants you to. Like right now, I'm sure my daughter feels like I probably hate her or whatever. I don't. And she might be upset at the fact that I haven't shown up in a certain way for her. But that is not what she needs,
right?
right?
No.
And it is actually going to be more detrimental to her than it would be beneficial to her if I just answer the need, right?
No, yeah.
The real necessity, right, in the situation might be that she needs to experience whatever it is that she's going through so that she can come out better. I will wholeheartedly believe and say that I know that the only reason I am where I am with the thought processes that I have is because I have been allowed to go through, and I'll say, I'll change it because there's a different level to this, to grow through the situations and circumstances that I have grown through.
Right.
That's the only reason why I'm here and I'm able to stand and to speak to things coherently and responsibly, and to be able to see things from a different dynamic.
Right.
That comes with experience and time, right? And so we often pray to keep things from happening.
Right.
I don't pray that prayer.
Right.
I want things. What I call the most gangster prayer, God, thy will be done. So I want whatever that needs to happen, allow it to happen, and allow it to happen in the timing that it has to happen.
Right.
I want to pray like that all hurt, harm, and danger, not, like at least let them stay living, right? In the interim. But I'm not trying to pray away the conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say this. I wasn't, people had this thought process about all of the political stuff.
Right.
Y'all praying for one thing, and God is wanting to move in us in a way, and we're prohibiting God from being able to move in the nation the way that God needs to, because we're trying to fight against
something.
And who are we to say that it is evil?
Right. Who are we? It's crazy because I don't think the mass of people understand the principalities and powers in this world. And I tell people a lot of times, I said, we're vessels, We move spiritually based on how we obey the spirit that's in us. But the mass of people don't necessarily understand, even the devil understand how powerful we are. This is why he has to use another vessel to try to get to us. So
it's funny that you said that, and I'll go back to that question that you asked me about my parenting style. My children might get mad at me because I say I'm not here to dictate to you how to live your life, but I am here as your guide, right? And I'm guiding you and giving you examples on the ways in which you should live. When you utilize the word vessel, it is, we think about vessels as stagnant.
Right.
But I utilize the word conduit. So
Ooh,
I am the conduit by which God can use me to move through the masses and make waves. I am supposed to cause people to question themselves. That's why when you say I'm here to inspire people, I'm here to help people aspire to high. I'm here to make you think within yourself and to draw out in yourself the thing that allows you to question, who am I? And so that's why I have this big thing about royalty.
Right. I love it. This is amazing. Hey, you guys are welcome. You're welcome. I know you didn't realize you was gonna get all this goody good today. Oh my goodness, you're so awesome. And because I want you guys to seek her out. Then you can get more. I'm just saying, we only have an hour in the show, so we got things we need to fit in, people. Okay. One of the things I think a lot of people struggle with right now is what is better. And so people feel like being independent brings too much struggles. Being dependent because there's a system that is set up to help what that look like and they don't have to go through certain things. They feel like that's the better way until they figure it out. Make that make sense? Can we even make that make sense?
I think what people are searching for is a way to do what they want to do on the time and means the way that they want to do it and reap a benefit of things that they didn't necessarily work for.
Ooh.
But I will say to that what we really need is to learn how to cultivate an environment and atmosphere and community that allows us to be dependent.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And what I mean by that is to say, when you said earlier, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
We do need community to help us draw out, again, the things that are both good and not so good,
right.
within us,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It will help us see ourselves. So mirror.
Yes.
It is an ability to allow ourselves to see ourselves for who we are,
right.
and understand and kind of give us the encouragement of what we can become.
Mm-hmm.
I won't know what I'm good at unless it's executed within another community, with others, so that they can confirm to me, this is what I see in you. And I could think that I'm good at one thing, and someone else and the 5 other people could say something completely different than what I think, right? And that's how we are confirmed about what we do. So although we are separate and we are working on ourselves inwardly, and trying to develop ourselves and find our way, we also need to do that within community. And the community then needs to allow us the opportunity to have the process of growth, knowing that we are not going to be perfect in the process, right?
I love.
So instead of us condemning ourselves to sin, or feeling like we have to be a certain way, in order for us to be deemed good, we need to allow for people to notice themselves as not so good, not being afraid to speak life. And when I say that is because people don't understand that correction is not punishment, right? That correction is a way for us to be able to get into alignment with what is divinely purposed for us. And I'll give us an example, which is the lamb. And we'll see in the white Jesus, and I'm sorry I have to say it this way because this is what we see, right? It is what it is. We see the lamb on the shoulders, and the reason for that is because the legs were broken. Right. And but it was a form of correction so that the lamb would know not to leave the herd. But the lamb was never left during the correction, and the lamb does not emotionally hold the correction and have grief with it to the point where it won't allow itself to stay a part of the herd.
Wow. That is beautiful right there. For everyone that wants to find you, locate you, how can they find you? How can they get in touch with you? Oh, she don't want to leave.
I'm kind of serious about that, but no.
If there's like a social media page that they can follow on, if there's one.
Monika Jackson, Monika Jackson. I would say God is working on me on the direction of the things that I'm doing.
Yes.
Public speaking, advocacy. I have the ability to do counseling service and mentorships and all that stuff. What I'm really discerning in this moment is where, God, how do you want me to show up for the community? How do me and you show up in the community in a way that's most fruitful? So I've been out there before. Y'all watch the podcast Throne Room and things like that. People ask me over and over again when you guys going to bring it back. But I've been intentional about kind of withdrawing so that I could gain the things that are necessary for me that I believe are going to allow our people to become whole, right? And so we think about that stage of moving from surviving to thriving. And I got into it with my mom one day. I said, no, there's more to just thriving. And the more is to building. And I think the throne room for me before was about us having a place where we a space where we can kind of lay out all of the issues and go through the process of our pains, and being able to talk about that in community so that we can find rest to be who we are called to be, which is royalty. But I think now we're in a season of understanding how to sit on the throne. We don't know how to sit on the throne. And so we need to, as I said to you before in that question about unifying, and I talked about George Washington Carver, and there was a thought process that the Black community needed to separate themselves and learn how to build their character and to live and have moral standards, right? In order for them to become a people and then see themselves integrating. Or on the other end, there was an argument that no, we need to learn how to integrate with people, and so that we can see the examples and learn to grow. Well, we've integrated. And we've seen examples, and we still not doing what we need to do. So I'm trying to ask God, show me a way that I can separate myself from the masses so that we can learn and teach people how to sit on the throne. Y'all make me not even want to call myself queen and talk about royalty, right? Like y'all misunderstand the concept of king and queen and royalty and what that looks like. We say, hey, queen, and we do it in injustice. We haven't earned the right to sit on that throne yet.
Right. We gotta learn how to do that right there. Man, you teach them a lot today. That was beautiful. I know you guys wasn't expecting to learn so much today. If there's anything that you have not fully understand, all you gotta do is just go back.
Yeah, I mean, reach out. I'm an open book. I don't hide, per se. But I would tell you, reach out, throw your questions in the chat, do what you do what you do, and I'll respond. And maybe that's God's way of saying, hey, utilize y'all questions to be able to begin a new conversation. But I appreciate you for seeking me out and being on top of me and forcing me to come through, right? Like you told me that you was gonna do this. We need to do this. So I appreciate you. I hope that the words about the journey don't hinder you from being able to receive whatever it is that you needed to receive in this moment of listening to help you move beyond the place where you are. So I'm praying that as you listen to this podcast, that God moves your spirit in a way that says, you said the words being better and doing better, was better for better. That God move in your spirit to question yourself. God, what's next for me? How do I elevate? What's the thing that will cause me to become better? What are the things that I'm holding on to that keep me stuck? What rules, what principles that I have that are killing me, causing me to die? I hope that this conversation allows you and awards you the opportunity to release past things and enjoy the process of letting go. To walk into the fullness of what it is that you are destined and have been predestined to be.
Wow, that's amazing. Listen, guys, there you have it. Until our next episode where we have another decorative guest like my beautiful sister here that just kind of help you guys in an amazing way understand how to be your better self. Thank you. You have shown them how to get on the throne. You got to get on the throne, people. Get on the throne. It's a beautiful thing. I know they're hearing my accent. They're like, Cornell and his accent.
It's all good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. This is beautiful. How we look?
Well, there you have it. The host came, the guest came, and the story was created. Thank you to our sponsors, EHAS Inc., Karis Capital, and the Cornell Bunting LLC brand. Go check out the books, courses, and materials at www.cornellbunting.com. Thank you again for listening to the show. Check back again to hear another tale from another unique guest right here at EHAS Club.